Setiap hari bermula jam 7 pagi. Ikuti perkembangan isu utama dengan pandangan pelbagai perspektif.
Sultan Kedah Tuanku Abdul Halim Muazzam Shah bertitah jadikan suasana bergolak di negara asing sebagai iktibar.
Syarikat penerbangan Jepun Japan Airlines Corporation JAL menfailkan pelindungan muflis menjadikannya kes keuangan terbesar di negara.
Bersama Buletin Awani bermula jam 7 pagi di Astro Awani, berita segenap dimensi.
Okey, kembali kita bersama Awani Pagi. Kita bercakap tentang masalah pendengaran. Dan bersama kita adalah Mr. Kieran
McCarry.
McCarry. Okay. I want to continue our discussion on. We want to try to understand. Is it because of aging? You have a problem with your hearing, or?
For many people, it is. Aging. The normal aging process is the largest cause of hearing impairment. So many people, once they reach the mid-50s, certainly by 60 years old, approximately 30% of the population will have some form of significant hearing loss. By the time they reach the age of 80, that rises to 50% of the population. So it's 1 in 2 people at the age of 80. And the second commonest cause is actually noise exposure. Yeah, and that is an increasing cause for concern because we live in an ever-increasing noisy world.
Okay, for example, if someone work on the construction site, for example, or someone who is a DJ, listening to music, loud music every day, every night. So, I mean, are they the person who gonna get the problem, affected by the problem? Yeah.
Yes, they're not even at risk of it. It will happen to them. Because noise causes damage. There's no ifs, buts or maybes. If you're exposed to certain levels of noise over a certain period of time, it will cause damage. So, and sometimes I find it a little frustrating when I drive down the road and I see people working by the roadside using pneumatic drills with no ear protection. Sooner or later they will have damage, but it may not manifest itself until they are much older. Then they will have problems with understanding people.
How to manage it?
I think the most important thing is to protect your ears from noise, first of all. So these days when people use a lot of MP3 players, etc., is don't turn the volume too loud. There have been a number of studies done on this to indicate that excessive volume through these things actually does cause hearing loss. So the volume should be regulated. I think a good rule of thumb is if you can hear it and other people can hear it as well, it's too loud. So turn it down.
How does it affect to the children, babies, for example? Because some of the parents, they will listen to the TVs or radios like very loud at home, and then they have a baby at the same time. And sometimes they do bring the babies to the cinema and also to the karaoke.
I think short-term exposure is not really a problem. It tends to be sustained exposure over a number of hours on a daily basis. So short exposure to noise like that is generally okay. The ears will recover. I mean, people will know if you go to a concert or sometimes a discotheque, you come outside and your ears are ringing afterwards. You've been in noise that's too loud and your ears have suffered damage, but they recover.
Speak louder to me because I can't hear you.
So I think the most important thing, I mean, the human ear was not designed to cope with the noise that we're all exposed to today. It was designed to operate hunting animals or listening to fish swimming in water, etc. It was not designed to cope with the industrialized lifestyle that we have today. So it suffers damage as a result of it. So.
Okay, back to the question that I asked you earlier. Is it suitable for the children, the hearing aids?
Children have special needs. They need to be dealt with differently from adults because obviously they're much smaller. And very often a child, if they're below the age of 5 or so, they cannot communicate properly with you. So they can't tell you what they're hearing, what they're not hearing. So children require specialist care. So we take a different approach with children, but hearing aids, yes, are suitable and should be used so that the child can develop normally, so they can go through their education and go on to lead normal and productive lives.
Like some of the children, I mean, they can't tell us that, hey, Mummy or Daddy, I'm having a
hearing
problem, or I can't hear you very well. So is there any other activities that you can do with them to test whether their hearing programs, their hearing sounds are good or bad?
I think if a parent or a carer is concerned about whether their child is hearing or not, what they need to do is take the child to a proper place and have the child's hearing tested.
Okay.
There are different means of testing. There are some very simple ones and some very, very complex ones. But they should have their hearing tested. And if I could just relate very quickly, I recently saw a little boy of 7 years old who was fitted with hearing aids for the first time. He'd had a hearing loss until the age of 7, and the parents didn't realise. It was only when he went to school, and of course the teacher dealing with children thought maybe this boy has a hearing loss. The parents and all the family thought he was a bit slow, and actually it was his hearing. He now has 2 hearing aids, and I'm really happy to say he's enjoying his life tremendously. He's participating in school, and his teacher says he's doing very well. So there's a classic situation where their parents just didn't realise, and fortunately the teacher did, but he's missed the first 7 years of his life. So he has a lot of catching up to do. But at least we managed to catch him in time. So,
is it expensive to get all these hearing aids?
It can be. Expense is always relative. If you can't hear and can't work, etc., then hearing aids generally in Malaysia start from about 900 ringgit, and they can go up to about 9,500, 10,000.
Okay.
So it really depends on the nature of the problem. It depends on what a person's requirements are. But most people are generally looking at 2,000 or 3,000 they pay. Again, it's something that we need to look at, sit down and discuss various options with people so they can make an informed decision. But
how bad is the situation in Malaysia? I mean,
how bad or how good depends on your perspective. If you sell hearing aids, it's quite good. There was a survey done by the Institute of Public Health in Malaysia back in 2006, which put the hearing impaired population at 21% in Malaysia. 21%. The global estimates tend to be approximately 10% of the world population, but there are many other studies done that show that it is actually higher than that. So around 15 or 16%. There was one study in Germany showed it at 19% of the German population. So in fact, in Malaysia, it's the biggest single cause of disability. And in fact, of the registered disabled people in Malaysia, the largest single percentage are registered disabled due to a hearing loss.
Banyak tu, 1% yang tinggi.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, for the good
Thank you.
explanation to our viewers. Thank you for coming to AWANI Pagi. Okey, kita nak berhenti seketika. Selepas ini
kita ada bingkisan katanya.
kita nak masak.
Nak masak? Memasak serah pada Azian. Kita berehat dulu.
Berehat seketika.